Hello, I'm Paul Simon, Head of Public Affairs at Suffolk Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined by Toby, Senior Policy Advisor at the Chamber, to reflect on the results of the quarterly economic survey conducted amongst Chamber members between April and June. Toby, the optimism in the first quarter has disappeared according to these figures, and there seems to be a particularly concerning issue regarding export sales and orders. Can you give us a sense of how significant these negative figures are?
Well, they're very concerning and significant. Obviously, we have difficulties now exporting to the EU. We have a rising pound due to rising interest rates that doesn't help. And as yet, the free trade agreements that we have not made a difference. It takes time, obviously, for businesses to identify the opportunities that these free trade agreements bring. So, as yet, we are in uncharted waters.
So given particularly for manufacturers who are showing historically low levels in terms of current export sales and also orders coming up, how much does this reflect a period of adjustment in terms of trading conditions? And how much do you think the government itself can do in terms of mitigating some of the worst current trading effects?
It's obviously a period of adjustment, but also because it's a period of adjustment, the government needs to provide support. The Department for Business and Trade needs to step in, provide more help in encouraging and supporting exporters and showing the way for companies to start exporting as well, helping them to overcome some of the issues that they're facing at the present time.
And then looking more generally at some of the figures, some of the key confidence indicators are deep in negative territory, both for manufacturers and for service companies, in terms of profitability, prospects of future turnover. I mean, how serious is that downturn, given that it's been part of a trend now accumulating over the last 18 months?
It's very serious. We just see at the moment forecasts of ever increasing interest rates, and that is going to deaden confidence even more, and investment's not going to happen as interest rates rise and confidence falls. So again, government's going to have to step in and introduce some confidence into the market.
And what kinds of initiatives could the government look to implement? We know theoretically at least that monetary policy has been outsourced to the Bank of England for a generation. Government is ramping up the tax burden for businesses, and that seems to be hard baked into certainly the next sort of 12 to 18 months or so. So what kind of latitude does the government have to actually ease the uncertainty and lift some of the headwinds that businesses are now facing?
Well, they can use their tax policy to introduce some targeted incentives for businesses to invest in things that are going to help to increase exports, invest in things that are going to increase productivity. After all, everybody's talking about the impact of AI on productivity, but as yet the government, apart from saying that they're going to regulate it, aren't saying how they're going to encourage businesses to make use of AI.
And do you think the government could also be much clearer about its overall approach to supporting businesses? The industrial strategy perhaps isn't the term that has been used recently by government, but how can the government help businesses plan over the next sort of 2 or 3 years in terms of investment, in terms of skills needs, in terms of employment requirements?
Well, they need to do a lot more to help businesses, and they do need to have some sort of strategy, whatever they call it. On the skills front, they have introduced a good initiative called local skills improvement plans. The Chamber itself is working on the local skills improvement plan covering Suffolk, so we're hopeful that some good initiatives will come out of that. But otherwise, they're just saying, well, inflation is the enemy, we have to kill inflation, and we're worried, particularly with these latest quarterly results, that they're going to do more than killing inflation. They're going to basically put the economy into recession if they're not careful.
And some of the comments from the businesses across a range of different sectors who responded are really quite strident. The economy is flatlined. There is only negative movement. We seem to be walking into a recession, picking up your concern earlier. Despite what the media say, trade is very sluggish and patchy. Do you though think that once we get through the next 18 months to 2 years, that Suffolk will show a prolonged recovery? Are you fairly optimistic that we are comparatively well placed in the longer term?
Definitely, in the longer term, there are all sorts of positives about the Suffolk economy. We have Sizewell C, and whatever you might think about that project, it will create a lot of jobs, a lot of prosperity for the county. We have opportunities to improve road and rail links, to bring in 5G into the county, all that will help to increase the productivity of the county. So there's, in the longer term, a lot of opportunity there, and let's hope that perhaps what we're seeing from the results of our quarterly economic survey, that this is the bottom and we'll start to go up here. But it does really depend on government not overdoing the stick that they're beating inflation with. They should listen or act on these results very carefully, because if they overdo it, then we'll be in a recession.
They're a real wake-up call, aren't they? And just picking up on the infrastructure point, the Chamber will continue to lobby government for investment in road, rail, 5G, and other ways of unlocking the growth potential within the Suffolk economy. But it's important that ministers, MPs and other decision makers in Whitehall and Westminster take Suffolk seriously and take these figures seriously. They're an early indicator, they're possibly an outlier, but they certainly do show that we are facing quite significant economic challenges, probably as much as anything we've faced since 2020.
Most definitely.
Great, Toby, thank you very much.
Thank you.